It's been way too long. So the last podcast that I recorded was June 18th. Almost 2 months have gone by. I can't believe how long it's been. I really apologize to all of my listeners out there for not posting in a while, but the good news is that I'm motivated to post on a regular basis again. Every single Tuesday, hashtag Try Tuesdays, I'm going to be posting a new podcast episode. This episode is not going to be like previous episodes. I'm not going to go in depth on any triathlon tips today, but just give an update on what's been going on with me. You know, what have I been up to? How's the triathlon season been going? What are my plans for the rest of the year? Although there's going to be no formal tips in this episode, maybe you can derive some inspiration or ideas from my approach to my triathlon podcast and race goals for the year. Life has been pretty busy lately. Work has been busy. Been doing a lot of traveling, which has been nice. And I've kind of fallen into this rut with the podcast. It does take a lot of time, at least for me, to write the script, to do the research, to record, to edit, to write the show notes, and to publish and to upload, Instagram posts, kind of advertising that I just published a podcast. And while I do enjoy the process, I love creating and, conceptualizing an idea and bringing it to fruition via podcast. It does take a lot of time. It usually takes me, the last few podcasts that I did, it usually takes me about, 3 days. And when I say days, I do have a full-time job, so I do the podcast at night. So I would say it take me about 3 nights to go from an idea, bringing it all the way to execution, to recording and publishing it. So it takes a lot of time, and when life gets busy and work gets busy, I kind of got into this thought process that the podcast, it takes so much time. It's gonna take up three days of my week to do, and for that reason, I was like, okay, I'll do it next week. And I kept pushing the podcast, pushing new episodes of the podcast week after week until it got to this point where it's been almost 2 months since I last recorded. But what I've been doing was really just trying to make the podcast as perfect as possible each time. Like, I edit the heck out of the audio, my ums and just my big deep breaths. I edit all of that out, and that takes like a long time. But I've been drawing a lot of inspiration from a lot of these creators on YouTube. Been watching like a lot of YouTube lately, and they've kind of just reminded me that the difficulties that I've been having in doing this podcast so far, I've only done 6 episodes, it's all part of the process. It's all part of the process of being a creator in whatever it is that you do. It's all part of the process of just doing something new in general. Maybe, you're starting to get into triathlon and you're bad at swimming. You're not going to be a good swimmer at first. It's going to be hard at first, but if you keep doing it, you keep practicing week after week after week, you become a better swimmer. So I kind of have to keep that in mind with this podcast, is that I have gotten better after 6 episodes, but I'm still not where I want to be. And I just have to remember that every time that I put out a podcast episode, I'll get better at it. And my workflow will get faster each time, more efficient each time. And eventually I'll get to the point where I want to be in the podcast, which is to be able to record a podcast from start to finish, just off the top of my head, of course with notes and with some direction, but with minimal editing. Also, I have to keep in mind, I have to remember why I started the podcast in the first place, and that's because I love triathlon. I love the sport of triathlon, what it's done for me, what it's done for others, and I love talking about it. Like, I have to kind of restrain myself from talking about it at work sometimes, I feel, because I'll get into a conversation about, you swim, you bike, you thought about triathlon. I can talk for days about triathlon. And that's one of the main reasons why I started this podcast, is because I want to encourage and inspire others to enjoy the sport too, and to change some perspectives out there that triathlon is so hard and they can't, like, the average person can't do it. It's that I truly believe that no, the average person can do it. Yes, the average person can do it. And I want to use this podcast as a medium to get that message across and just spread my love and what I like to call the cheers for try to everyone out there. Although I have not been podcasting lately, I have been doing a lot of training. So I've been pretty active, especially this summer. Mainly because at work we've had this competition. Pretty much we're all split into teams, and the first team to swim, bike, and run to 5,000 miles wins the race. And we all track it using the Strava application. So, this competition is right up my alley, right? Swimming, biking, running. This is what I do. This is my hobby. These are my hobbies. These are my passions. So, of course, I went hard. I went really hard, but there's a lot of people in the company that also do all of these activities. So it took place in July, all of July, and unfortunately my team lost by like under a point. It really sucks, but this competition was really good because it encouraged me to really kind of step my game up in swimming, biking, and running. I swam a lot and I biked a lot. I would just like swim, 3 miles a week at least. Just go out and knock out a mile of swimming like each day for like 3 days a week. And on the weekends I would bike like 40 miles, 50 miles, all within reason though. I didn't go from 0 to 40 miles. I didn't go from 0 to 1 mile in swimming. Of course, I gradually built it up over the month. And it was almost as if I was training for like a half Ironman / Olympic triathlon with the amount of volume that I was doing. But it was good. It helped me get in shape, and it will have helped me transition nicely to my next race, which is going to be in September, in about 1 month from now. Speaking of races, this year, just kind of a recap, I've done 2 races so far. I did the Las Olas Tri, sprint tri back in March. In April, I did the South Beach Triathlon, again, a sprint tri. And probably the next triathlon the next triathlon I'm going to do is one of the Max Cycle tries here in Key Biscayne, Miami. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the sprint or the Olympic, but definitely going to do that race. I think it's like September 12th or around there. And maybe I'll do like another Turkey triathlon in November and or a 5K or 10K in December. So that's pretty much what I've done so far this year and my plans through the end of the year. Which brings me to my next point. It's that I haven't been doing as many races in 1 year as I have in the past. For the past 2 years, that's mainly because I did the last year, 2017 and 2016, I did the Escape from Alcatraz triathlon both those years, and that's just a huge race. It takes a lot of time and money, just a trip to go over there. So those 2 years of triathlon kind of revolved around that one race. But this year in particular is quite different from the past 4 years. So I've done triathlon now for 5 years. It's my 5th year in the sport. For the first 4 years, I planned my travels around my races. So my races have been my priority throughout the year, and then my travels for the most part have been planned around those races. What's different about this year is that I'm planning my races around my travels. So traveling for me this year has become a higher priority than triathlon, and it's not because I'm losing interest in the sport. It's just that at this point in my life, I want to do more traveling, see the world, see different parts of the US. So it's really hard to like sign up for a race and then like have a trip like a month before the race. If you're training for a race and you have travels, it is possible to train while you travel, but it's hard. Your training does take a significant decrease in quality, because when you travel you gotta go eat, you're gonna go drink, you have a hotel gym, and it's not as optimal as if you're in your like home and you're in your element and you're in your routine training for that race every single day. Traveling makes it hard. It is possible, but it's harder to train and travel for a race. And for that reason, and for a couple other reasons, it's just, I just feel like traveling more, so that's become the priority this year over my races. But I am itching I'm itching to do a big race. I haven't done a big race in over a year now. So next year is going to be a big year. I'm still going to travel next year, but I'm probably going to do at least a half Ironman next year, or a half marathon or a full marathon. My ultimate dream is still, as you may know, full Ironman distance. Not sure when that's going to be, but definitely that is on my bucket list. So that's pretty much the main reason why I haven't done many races this year. It's because I've been going to really cool places. I just got back from Costa Rica. Been to I've been to like St. Louis and Colorado, and have other trips planned through the end of the year too. All right, so that's pretty much all I had for today. I apologize if this episode was kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to give an update on me and of the podcast and what I've done so far this year as far as my season and my plans for the rest of the year. So if there's any takeaways from this episode, it's that the Triathlete Beat Podcast is alive and well, and we're back at it again. And something that I've learned over the past couple of months is to remember, whatever it is that you do, whether it be creating some kind of content, getting into a new sport or hobby like triathlon, just stop overthinking and just start. Just start whatever it is that you've been wanting to do, whether it be starting a podcast yourself or a new Instagram for your favorite hobby or even triathlon. Just do it. Just start. It won't be perfect. You won't be good at it. But after day 1, after day 2, after training week 1, after training week 2, after podcast number 5, after podcast number 10, after podcast number 20, after however many days, you'll be that much better. You'll be that much farther along, closer to your goal than if you hadn't started at all. That was kind of deep. This is good. This feels really good. I hope you guys are enjoying this right now. So one of my goals for this podcast is to help others get into the sport. So please share this podcast with anyone you know who could use the extra push to do a triathlon, or for anyone in general who may enjoy this podcast or enjoy this video of me speaking, of me giving this podcast. But if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Please subscribe to my podcast on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM. Subscribe to me on YouTube if you're listening on or watching on YouTube at Jeremy_try. And it would be great if you could leave me a rating. If you liked it, of course. I only have like 5 ratings on iTunes right now. 0 ratings on Stitcher. Not sure if you can rate on Google Play, but if possible, whatever medium, whatever app you're listening on, if you can rate and you enjoyed this podcast, please go ahead and give me a rating. I'd really, really appreciate it. And of course, for social media, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, my handles are Jeremy_try. Add me on Instagram, on Twitter, subscribe to me on YouTube. And of course, my website is Jeremy_try. That's where I'll have the show notes posted, and you can learn more about me there. So hit me up on social media. I always respond. Send me a message, DM on Instagram, tweet me. Tweet me or message me what you liked about today's episode, if you liked anything about it. If you didn't like anything about it, let me know what's been your favorite episode so far of the 6 episodes that I've posted. Or hit me up with a request as far as any kind of content that you would like me to go into on this podcast. Also been posting a lot to my YouTube lately. I'm going to be doing a lot more vlogging on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to me there. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content, fun videos, fun vlogs, travel vlogs. And of course, I'm going to put out this video of me doing this podcast on YouTube also. Thank you so much for listening. I truly, really appreciate your time for listening to this podcast, for watching this video. And I'll see you next week on #TryTuesday. So once again, thanks for taking a seat with the Triathlete Beat. All right, stopping. Thank you so much for watching this podcast. And I'll see you again next Tuesday. Peace.